afternoon to everyone. My name is Kriti Shroff, and I'm a leading career counselor. And I co-founded the organization Careers with Kriti back in 2015. Today, here we are with our special webinar called Career Discovery, where we will be inviting 10 different industry professionals, and each of our following videos will be talking about one industry and one career with a leading professional from that space. So we bring to you more knowledge and more content with the help of industry. Thank you. We move on to our next segment, which is to discuss an amazing another career. So our next segment is about culinary arts, and I'm glad to invite Chef Jas Sandhu, who's here with us to talk about the career in culinary arts and as chef. And a lot of students, when we were taking registrations, uh, had shared with us that they want to know more about careers in culinary, in hospitality. So in our last year session, the Career Discovery 1.0, we had invited panelists for discussing careers in hospitality. And this year we are covering the career as a chef. So a very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for accepting our request to be here. Uh, Chef Jas Sandhu is equipped with skills honed over 3 decades as a professional chef and enriched with extensive managerial experience in diverse food production operations. Jas is passionate about training young adults. He brings with him the knowledge and the skillful attributes of vocational education trainer from Adelaide, Australia. His positive engagement with his students to bring out the best in them is his forte. An OCLD alumnus, he has been the executive chef with Oberoi Group of Hotels India, menu development chef with Qatar Airways, Doha, Qatar, along with being the chief chef at Modern Seafood Restaurants in Sydney, Australia. Thank you once again for joining us here.
Thank you, Kriti. Thank you for the lovely introduction, and thank you for having me.
Pleasure is totally ours. We have many bright students looking forward to hearing our discussion, Chef. And my first question to is, culinary arts or being a chef is a career which is driven by passion and skills. Many students and parents get confused between culinary arts or being a chef or with being into hotel management. So how would you describe this career, and who do you think should choose to be in a career as a chef?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Hotel management is probably the platform to sort of enter into the whole hospitality picture, if you were to say. So for someone, or for a lot of times or years together, hospitality or hotel management has been like a stepping in door for people to sort of get in. And then whilst they're doing this course, they sort of find their passion, whether it's front of the house, whether it's food and beverage service, whether it's housekeeping, whether it's culinary. So I guess over the years, it was more of an introductory sort of, I would say, an experiment. So you actually find where your passion is. And I thought that was a bit of an elementary stuff. But nowadays, you find chefs all around. You turn on the TV and you have the master chefs going on, people screaming to get the place. So over the years, over the last 15, 20 years, the amount of exposure this culinary side has got has actually been immense. So now actually it's not mandatory for someone to do hotel management in order to pursue their passion. If they want to really do a chef, or they want to become a sort of a food critic or a food blogger. So what we are looking now is actually looking at the Western system, wherein people would actually encourage or be encouraged to take over vocational courses. So chefing or professional cooking or culinary arts would be part of a vocational course. So now we have a pathway which we are offering, for example, in the Le Cordon Bleu at GD Goenka University, where we have the international diplomas, which is even open to somebody who's just finished the class 12. So this is like a 12 months diploma with 9 months intensive on the job, 9 months training, and then we have 3 months on the job. So that sort of sets somebody a career path much earlier than sort of spending 4 years doing masters or bachelors or doing a diploma in hotel management. So that's the answer to your first part of the question. Now, the second part would be like, if you say, how would you describe this career and who do you think should choose this career as a chef? Then I would say only one thing: those people who have a passion for cooking, who like to put themselves or reflect themselves on a plate, who are social, who like to cook, who enjoy. And actually, for me, it's therapeutic. When I'm cooking, it's really therapeutic. It sort of calms me down. So anybody who's got passion, anybody who loves food should be pursuing this as a serious career.
Thank you, Chef. I think that's very sweetly said by you, and definitely this is a very, very passion-driven career, and I'm sure that students who are looking at cooking as a form of meditation, or like you said, it's therapeutic, should definitely look at making a career in this space. So, my chef, that brings me to my next question, saying that what are the kind of skills that you think students should possess, or they should try to equip themselves with if they want to excel in a career like this?
The most important skill is actually trusting your instinct. Now, when you talk of organoleptic senses, so things like taste, texture, smell, understanding of colors, plating, all these are very important skills, because it's one thing which is making good food. It's an entire different thing where you actually present it, where you actually showcase yourself on a plate. And now there are a lot of, you turn the TV on, there are master chefs and celebrity chefs all around, and each one actually has a style which holds them distinctly apart from the rest. So in terms of skill, my first thing which I would say is that you need to have sharp sense of smell, sharp sense of taste, sharp sense of vision. When you look at food, you got to think about food. You got to enjoy that ride. You got to enjoy the journey. And the rest of the skills, which are as important, is discipline. None of the chefs you will ever see in the glamorous limelight has not done the hard yards. All of them have. But the thing is, nobody actually showcases the hard yards behind that. Everybody showcases the glamour, the celebrity status, the ups and oohs and ahs. But trust me, it's a line which is requiring a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline, a lot of sweat. Trust me, a lot of sweat, a lot of passion.
I'm sure on that. And to be working in front of those burners, commercial burners, should bring in definitely a lot of sweat. My next question to you, Chef, is what are the industry trends looking for students? And considering that there was an era where we would largely see chefs be working with hotels or restaurants, but today the industry's opened up, and we hear terms like cloud kitchen and so many other things. So what are the various different opportunities for students, especially because we are right now talking to students who are in school? So they would be finishing their school and then embarking the journey to become a chef, and hence they have at least 4 to 5 years of time frame before they embark into a proper professional career. So where is this industry looking, and what are the different kinds of opportunities that are in front of you?
This industry is actually expanding at a gigantic pace, because one thing is for sure, there are few industries which will never go out of work, and hospitality and food is one of them, because people will still eat until unless time machines come and everything is fed into someone's mouth. I don't know, can't guarantee that, but people will still eat, people will still love good food. And in terms of expansion, today the amount of exposure the industries have had based on food, people who can actually create food, it's really immense. Right from food technologists, you'll be surprised, all the big brands of convenience foods, they are hiring an entire big team of R&D chefs who are basically dishing out recipes suited to the taste of people. It's always it's a cycle which keeps working. You have airlines which are like predominantly relying on good chefs, because the food that is served on the airline is a different concept considered to compared to a fine dining, because we have to chill the food and then reheat it on board. So there's a lot of restrictions which come into place when you talk about that. There are food critics, food bloggers, restaurateurs, and now the latest venture where the chefs have actually put their food in is a healthcare. This was a sector actually which was considered to be like, oh, you're in a hospital, so eat the insipid food. Sorry, that's what you're gonna get. Well, it's not true, because a lot of people actually are treated for things which are not really related to any sort of a dietary restriction. So I don't see the reason why these people cannot still be given great food. So now the hospitals have started employing great chefs to sort of turn over their cuisine into something which is a wow factor, because that becomes a USP for the hospital. So the opportunities are actually immense. There's no stoppage. It's up to a person now. Even as a lot of chefs are delving into wines, and then you have wine and food pairing. So there are a lot of chefs who are enriching themselves with the understanding of wines, how wine can be paired with the food. So the sommelier's job all also under threat. So the chefs are ruling all the way.
Absolutely. I think that has really opened up the industry. And we could have never thought that healthcare could also be recruiting chefs. And I'm so glad to hear that, because the last time I was in hospital, I was actually having insipid food.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Now my next question to you, Chef, is about what's the typical day look like for a chef, and what's the general kind of lifestyle, or how does this career have an effect on your lifestyle?
That's an interesting question. A typical day in chef's life can be anything from a smooth sailing to a roller coaster ride. So the good thing about this profession is that one doesn't generally tend to carry stress back home. So once you're done, it is done and dusted, whether it's a good day or a not so good day. And in this profession, bouquets are hard to come by, and brick paths come from all sides. So one has to be prepared for that. If it's an art, it's one thing one has to understand. It's not a job, it's an art. So just like an artist paints on the canvas, it is up to the beholder to decide whether the art is good or not. But for artists, he does his best. So the same thing goes with a chef when he puts his food on the plate. It's sometimes really appreciated, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, one needs to swallow the humble pie and say, okay, maybe I need to work better, things to be done differently. In terms of, most important thing is organizing. And that comes from a lot of hard work, a lot of planning. A typical day could start even the moment one gets up from the bed, because the thing starts rolling. What do I have to do today? Is there any special event? Do I have to do any special function? What sort of cuisine I'm cooking? Have I done this? Have this been ordered? So it's actually a lot of the stuff starts right from the beginning, even before one enters the workplace. And then, of course, when you enter the workplace, it could be a very typical day where suddenly your person calls up, I'm sorry, chef, I can't come in, I'm sick. I said, okay. And then you sort of roll up your sleeves, all right, I have to do this, plus that, plus that. So it can be very interesting. So one has to be very flexible. One has to take into account the unaccountable. So all these make the day most gratifying for the chef. The flip side, one totally gets cut off from the social circle. This is unfortunate, because everybody who tends to celebrates their social events on a Saturdays and Sundays, and somewhere someone wants a chef to cater to them. So being a chef means you will not be able to celebrate that often with your friends. And by the time you finish a day and you call them up, they say, sorry, we are back home and sleeping. So that's a part of the deal, I guess.
Totally understandable. I think Saturday, Sundays are the times that most people want to party out and eat food and enjoy with family and friends. And I'm sure those are the busiest days for a chef. My next question to you, Chef, is what would be your advice to a student who's considering to get into this field?
My advice will be simple. If you really prefer to go into culinary and really want to become someone who's passionate about cooking food, then one has to understand that one should be like a sponge. My advice is for the next 3, 4, 5 years, even 10, be like a sponge. And when I say be like a sponge, you soak up what is good. And when it's any field which is skill based. Skills have to be learned first and learn the right way. There are many people who will teach the skills the wrong way, but it's very important to learn the right way, because everything else, the foundation, if the foundation is strong, everything else that you build on top of it will be strong. But if the foundation is not strong, it'll collapse. So it's very important that for any person who's choosing this career, don't be a softie. You got to be a tough soldier. You really got to toughen it up. It's like military. You'll be subjected to a lot of stressful situations. Just take it on the chin and say, all right, I'm here to learn. Take that away. Let it go. What is the learning from this experience? So that's my advice. It's not meant for softies.
Thank you. That was a brilliant advice, Chef. And I'll now take questions from the audience because we are having a couple of questions in the chat box. So there is a question about, can food blogging be a career?
Absolutely. In our times, long time ago, when we were talking, and I say long time because these kids probably not even born then. When I'm talking of late 80s, early 90s, we had a person called J. Inder Singh Kaldra. He used to write books, and he was a food critic. And he was a very respected one because he wasn't chef, but his passion for food was immense. So he actually could understand when the chefs were talking about balancing the flavors or getting the light right on the plate. And chefs can be very pedantic, can get onto your nerves to no end, because like I said, they're artists, and artists will always be perfectionists. So definitely it's definitely a career pathway for those who are good at writing. That's very important. So communication becomes very important if you're choosing a food blogger or food blogger category. But along with that, it's very important to associate with chefs to understand how they think. Once you get this, then it should be a smooth sailing.
Fantastic. The next question that is there in the chat box is presentation important in this career?
Unfortunately, and I will say unfortunately, it is one of the most important things today, because one needs to understand, we taste food by our nose first. People say eyes. No. Even when the food is not brought in front of us, it's like this. If the neighbor has cooked a nice biryani, the whole neighborhood should come to know. So when the food comes in front of you, that's the first wow. And I love this generation. They would rather have the food go cold, but they still love to take 15,000 pictures of the plate before they actually put the first morsel in their mouth. So presentation is absolutely important.
The next question is, can you please tell something about the course at GD Goenka University? This is a question that has been asked by the student.
Well, we are right now having 4 courses. One is a BBHM, which is a Bachelor's of Business Administration. Then we also have a BA Culinary Arts, which is an honors course. And along with that, which is a 4-year course, these both of them. And then we also have the international diplomas, which we are targeting specifically for those students who do not wish to spend graduating. So after 12, you can enroll yourself with a diploma, which is pastry arts and culinary arts. So this is like a 12-month diploma. And for 9 months, we'll be imparting intense training in terms of cooking food, international food, and then 3 months into the industry on the job. And after the completion, you'll get a certificate saying that you completed this course, and you'll be very much in a good state of stead to actually apply for directly into the chefs or kitchens lines in a lot of these hotels and pastry.
Thank you, Chef. There's another question saying that, is a proper bachelor's in culinary arts required, or can we do small certification programs to begin our career as a chef?
It's actually interesting. That's an interesting question. It all depends on what's the long-term goal. So, for example, if somebody is looking in terms of having their own restaurant, or maybe even sort of having that option that maybe I want to learn culinary, but I do not want to become a chef full time. Maybe I want to go into food and beverage. I want to look at that avenue. Then for that person, the BACA or the BACA definitely is a better option. But somebody who is a die-hard passionate and wants to make a name and wants to make a career in cooking, then of course, I would think that the International Culinary Arts Diploma for 1 year is the way to go. Of course, in terms of culinary arts in BA, they'll be still learning a lot about front of the house, about food and beverage service, about wines, about a lot of other side sort of avenues which sort of enhance and interact with the production. So that itself gives them a bit more broader picture as to how the food actually is reaching the guest, what all is going around in terms of tableware, in terms of wines, in terms of restaurant setups. So all these things make a huge difference as to what your long-term plans are in terms of what one wants to do as just being a chef or being more of a restaurateur or of a hospitality or a food and beverage sort of a person, then yes, BACA would be the way to go.
That's wonderfully answered, Chef, because I see a lot of students who have different aspirations. Last year, I got a student who just wanted to be into chocolate making and baking, and she didn't want to get into a full-time program. So I think it's what you rightly mentioned is very important to understand what your goal is and where in the industry do you want to see yourself, and basis that you could choose your own program, considering that there are so many options available today which were not available when we were growing up. So thank you, Chef. Thank you for sharing your time. It was our honor and pleasure to have you here. For any further questions, students can reach out to us and we will help you get connected with Chef Jas Sandhu or the team at GD Goenka University where they run the program. The recordings of this particular session will also be posted on our YouTube handles. I've already shared in the chat box the handle. Please share and subscribe the channel so that you can keep visiting it for all the latest updates. Thank you, Chef. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much and wish you all the best, all the youngsters. Do well. Thank you.
Chef, before you leave, there's one more question that has come up. I thought we have time, so I'll take this question. Can a vegetarian be a chef? That's an interesting question.
Absolutely, yes, because today's time, it's actually a wonderful and I really enjoyed this. Whoever has asked this question, because going forward, if you look at the Western society, and I come from Australia, and veganism and vegetarianism is really on the rise. So and if you really think the Indian cuisine is actually the forte or the hallmark or the benchmark when it comes to vegan and vegetarianism, but the Western cuisine is still struggling with it because over the centuries, they never had vegetarianism as a concept. So actually, if somebody wants to pursue this is probably the best way and the best time to do it. So I would definitely say, yes, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chef. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.